This is a summary / explanation for basic HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is the code language used to make websites. It allows us to add images, videos, hyperlinks, and many more things. Every bit of line of code needs to be between two tags. The tags identify if it is an image or a text within the tags. The tags look like this. Every tag has a closing tag and an opening tag. The closing has a / before stating what type of tag it is. The type of tag is independent of the word or letter within the tag. To make a paragraph, we use the P tag, which looks like this. And then paragraph content. Every bit of code that is going to be displayed on the web page needs to be within the body tag. The body tag looks like this. Family tree and children in HTML. A tag / element is considered a child of an element if it is within the tags of another element. For example, in this example, the P element is a child of the body tag. This child relationship can continue on forever, creating grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and so on and so on. Headings. In HTML, there are heading tags which give the text a certain size. The heading tag / element is similar to the P tag / element. The largest heading is H1. The second largest is H2. And the smallest heading is H6. And it keeps scaling. The smaller the number, the larger the text. The div element is used as a container for other elements. What that means is that it is used as a parent and not actually to display text or other elements. For example, the div is a parent to the heading and paragraph element, which allows us to group this better. This is useful in large parts of code because it is easier to see where sections of codes are, and it is easy to navigate to. Attributes. An attribute is added to the opening tag of an element. An attribute adds specific information about the element / tag. There are many types of attributes, but the most common is the ID tag. The ID tag allows us to name tags and elements. For example, displaying text. To display text on a web page, we can use a paragraph tag or we can use a span tag. The span tag is used for small amounts of words or specific parts of paragraphs. The paragraph tag is best used for blocks of text and can be the parent of a span element. Styling text. We can change the way that text is styled by using terms like M and strong. The M tag gives the text inside of the tag an emphasis, which most of the time is done by making it italics. The strong tag highlights important text most of the time. The strong element creates a bold text. This is an example. Line breaks. In blocks of text, we can add a line break, which, as it states, adds a line break in the text. A line break tag is and does not require a closing tag. Lists. In HTML, we can create two types of lists: unordered lists and ordered lists. The unordered list tag is UL and the ordered tag is OL. The difference between the two is that the ordered list is numbered and the unordered list uses dot points. When making a list, you start the list with one of those tags and then add a list element for every point on the list. A list element tag is li. An example of an unordered list is an example of an ordered list is images. Images can be added into a website by using the image tag, which looks like it is self-closing tag, which means that only one tag is needed and all the content for the image is between the brackets. To link an image, you add an attribute labeled src, which stands for source. After the source, an equal sign must be used and a web address for an image URL is added between the quotation marks. Example of an image element. An alt attribute can be added to an image. The alt attribute allows us to add text to an image, so if the image doesn't load for whatever reason, the user can put their mouse over where the photo is supposed to be and read the text. An example of an alt element is videos. Videos can be added using a video tag. Unlike the image tag, the video tag needs to have a closing tag. You need to have a source tag, which will be the source of the video you want displayed. You can add videos using a URL. You can modify the size of the video on the page by using the width and height attributes. An example of the video tag and other video related attributes are doctype. At the start of every HTML document, you need to state what language you are using so the computer knows. The current HTML is HTML5, and that will be automatically selected. But if you are using an older version, you need to specify. To inform the browser of what type of code we are using, we use the doctype HTML tag. That tag should be the very first line of any HTML document. HTML tag. Every bit of HTML code needs to be within the opening tag HTML tag of the closing HTML tag. The tags look like this. The head. The head is where all the data that isn't being displayed is kept. The head tag looks like this. Body. This is where the content that you want displayed goes. The body tag looks like this. Title. You can add a title element into the head and it becomes the name of displayed on your web page. Example. Anchor. The anchor element can be used to link web pages and other cool stuff. The anchor element looks like. You can add attributes to the anchor element. The most common is the href. href stands for hyperlink reference, and you add a hyperlink to it and it creates a link to the specified web page. An example is you can add a target attribute to the anchor tag after the href attribute. You can specify where you want the linked web page to open. If you set the target to _blank, the link will open on a new tab. Example. Linking to a relative page. If you have multiple HTML pages saved in the same place, you can link them using a relative reference. The relative link is used instead of adding a URL to the href attribute. The relative link looks like // and then the file name. An example of this is linking using images. You add an image between the anchor tag with a href attribute to make the photo the link. If you do this, if you click the photo, it will send you to the link. Example. ID. You can add an ID to any opening tag. An ID allows you to name any tag/element and then reference that tag either in links or other things. The ID looks like ID equals quotation mark name and quotation mark. An example. You can add link to IDs. You can link to IDs by using the href equals quotation marks hashtag, then you insert the name of the ID and quotation marks. Here's an example. Whitespace. Whitespace is space not being used up by code. You do not need to have line gaps between most tags and elements, as the computer reads it the same. But adding gaps between tags allows us to read it better and understand it. Indentation is added spaces before a tag when the tag is a child. Indentation is normally 2 spaces. This here is an example of a non-indented bit of code. And this is an example of indented code, which you can see as the paragraph tag has got 2 spaces because it is a child of the div. Comments. You can add comments to your code which will not be read by the browser. The comment allows us to explain what bits of code do so. If we forge, we can easily remember. The comment allows us to explain what bits of code do. So if we forget, we can easily remember. Comments look like. That is all for the basic HTML.